This is in defiance of the valor of our founders and what they established, and just loyal to his oath of office. And so, you know, as I say, every knock from him is a boost, and everything he says about somebody else is a projection of his own weakness.
You said he's violating the Constitution again and again. Do you think it's possible that the House might have to file new articles of impeachment?
Well, let's just see what the Senate does. The ball will be in their court soon, and as I say, we think that the American people have been very fair about saying, yes, we do want to see witnesses. That wasn't part of the discussion 3 weeks ago.
Let's move on to Iran right now. Several of your colleagues have taken issues with the administration's justification for taking out General Soleimani. They said it was designed to stop an imminent attack, and President Trump has said that Soleimani was planning attacks on 4 U.S. embassies. I know you can't talk specifically about the intelligence you've received, but do you think the administration has been straight with the American people about the reasons for taking out General Soleimani?
I don't think the administration has been straight with the Congress of the United States. When I was informed with the confirmation that the United States had taken out Soleimani, who is a terrible person, let's not be confused, and the motivations of Iran are bad, so there's no question about that. And again, with my intelligence background, I'm fully aware of the danger of Soleimani. However, what we want to do is not escalate a war. When they called and told me, the Secretary of Defense and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs confirmed that we were involved in this action, I said, well, you should have informed the Gang of Eight in advance of this leadership and the chairs of the Intelligence Committee and ranking members, House and Senate. We had to keep it close. You had to keep it close. Well, we had to keep it close because we didn't want it to get out. What you're saying is you don't trust the Congress of the United States with sources and methods and timing. Well, we had to keep it close.
But
that's just not, that's wrong. That is wrong. And so then, as you have seen, even Republicans have complained about the nature of their presentation at the classified briefing. They have to understand Congress has the power to declare war. There is a War Powers Act. We passed legislation further defining that this week. This is an important discussion. I don't want to say forget Donald Trump. This is about all presidents and all Congresses as to
and it's about having the support of the American people as the United States takes military action. So that's why I'm asking.
That's the most important thing, and there's no appetite in the public for war.
But is what the public's being told consistent with what you're being told privately?
Well, I'm not absolutely sure what the public is being told because it changes every time you see something. But this is nothing. Let me just say, I want to say this because it's Sunday morning. I just took a group, bipartisan group, in December to the 75th anniversary of the Battle of the Bulge, a very bloody battle, thousands and thousands of Americans killed in that battle, and it was a decisive war in World War II, decisive battle in World War II. And it was remarkable, an Allied effort to defeat the Germans there. And this glorious ceremony of a few days, but also the closing ceremony, the King of Belgium, the Grand Duke of Luxembourg, the President of Germany, saying when you freed Belgium and Luxembourg, you freed Germans too in winning this war. It was beautiful. But why I bring it up now in relationship to this is, at the end, one of our veterans, and we were there really to see our veterans, thank our veterans, praise our veterans, embrace our veterans, as we have done at other anniversaries. One of the veterans spoke for the group, 90-some years old, beautiful, lovely, spoke beautifully about the sacrifice, the struggle, spoke about the band of brothers, the allies, the effort, the challenges. And at the end, he said, I don't know if this is appropriate to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. I urge all of you to pray for peace, for our veterans, for our men and women in uniform, for our children, for our future, for the world.
The question is
we have to move toward peace, not escalation of war.
The question is how we get there. We're seeing now demonstrations in the streets of Iran against the regime. Do you support those protesters, and would it be a good thing if they brought the regime down?
Well, the protesters are protesting, as I understand it, this brand of protesters, about the fact that that plane went down, and many students were on that plane, and these are largely students in the street. I think the Iranians should have not had commercial flights going off when there was.
They're calling out the regime for lying. They're saying death to Khamenei as well.
No, well, whatever it is. But the fact is this: there were protesters in the streets before against the regime. After the taking out of Soleimani, there were protesters in the street joined together, as you know, against us. That wasn't good. Taking down this plane is a terrible, terrible tragedy. And they should be held accountable for letting commercial flights go at a time that was so dangerous. But there are different reasons why people are in the street. Of course, we would love to see the aspirations of the people of Iran realized with a better situation there. But escalating the situation, unless we've exhausted every other remedy.
Which we haven't?
Well, we don't know that. We don't know that. And if the first action to be taken on the threat of... there are a lot of bad actors who are doing bad things and threatening bad things to us. We know that, Iran being one of them, and it being its proxies doing bad things to our interest throughout the world. But how do we deal with that in a way that calms rather than escalates? I
want to ask you a question about the 2020 election and foreign policy again. Bloomberg is reporting this Friday the possibility that there's an investigation now on whether or not the Russians are trying to help President Trump and hurt Joe Biden. Again, we see that right there. U.S. pros as Russia is targeting Biden in 2020 election meddling. The probe comes as senior U.S. officials are warning that Russia's election interference in 2020 could be more brazen than in 2016 or the 2018 midterm elections. How worried are you about Russian interference in 2020? Are we doing all we can to prevent it?
No, and the President of the United States is in complete denial about Russia's role. As I have said, in terms of this president, all roads lead to Putin. He said he's not going to accept the assessment of our own intelligence agent that they were very much involved in 2016 election, that 24/7 now they are still engaged. He's trying to blame it on Ukraine and this silliness that has been debunked again and again, but he and his folks still keep advancing it. Everything that he has done, whether it's in Syria vis-a-vis the Turks, whether it's been in Ukraine in terms of withholding assistance as they try to fight the Russians, his denial about their role in our election then and now, all roads lead to. And sometimes I wonder about Mitch McConnell too. Why is he an accomplice to all of that? He has resisted resources going in a manner commensurate with the threat for state not agencies, whichever they are in a state, could be the Secretary of State or whatever, to protect our infrastructure, our critical infrastructure of elections. He says you shouldn't even call that critical infrastructure. So it's all of a piece with them, and that's why it's really important for the facts to come forward, the witnesses to be heard, the documentation to be reviewed, so that the American people can see, so that no other president in the future could ever think that it's okay to engage in the way that this president has, to undermine the Constitution, undermine